All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today, we're going deep on a business leader who's known for, well, his bold moves
Yeah.
and honestly, his, shall we say, no-holds-barred style.
Absolutely.
Dana White, the president of the UFC.
Yes.
You guys sent in this interview that he did on Theo Vaughn's podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I can see why this one piqued your interest.
Yeah, it's goldmine. I mean, Theo Vaughn just gets Dana talking.
Yeah.
Really gets him to open up about his leadership style,
Yeah.
Especially how he handles these like really challenging situations.
Especially when things get tough.
Yeah, exactly. And you can just tell he's not afraid to like break the mold,
Totally. And right off the bat, he kind of lays out this core philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty refreshing, honestly. He's all about authenticity, not caring what people think.
Right.
And he even tells this story about refusing to lay off employees during COVID,
Right.
which was
Well,
obviously
enough time for
actually
others,
a crazy time for a lot of businesses.
Absolutely, to put it lightly. It's a bold move. It goes against
Yeah.
what a lot of companies did.
Yeah.
It really shows like a deep sense of loyalty, not just to his employees, but also to his like overall vision, right? He's basically saying, we're all in this together. We sink or swim as a unit.
He calls it like a sink or swim together mentality.
Yeah.
And it's so fascinating because it just flies in the face of like traditional business wisdom.
Right.
You almost never hear CEOs talking about
Right.
going down with the ship anymore.
It's so rare, right? And that's what makes this deep dive so interesting. It challenges us
Yeah.
to think about if this approach, this like unwavering commitment
Mm-hmm.
could actually be a strength, right?
Yeah.
Think about it. Like if everyone on your team knows you're in it for the long haul,
Yeah.
no matter what happens,
Mm-hmm.
it creates incredible trust and
It
buy-in.
makes you think about what kind of team you need
Exactly.
to make that work,
Yeah.
right? Like, how do you even cultivate that level of shared commitment?
Right. It can't just be words. It has to be backed up by,
Actions.
actions, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's where Dana's approach to building a team really comes into play.
Yeah.
He's very like upfront about his strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
He'll straight up say, finance, not my thing.
Right.
So he surrounds himself with this top-notch finance team and lets them handle that side of the business.
He focuses on what he's passionate about.
Yeah.
Talent scouting, the production, all the things that like really get him fired up.
It's just stuff that gets him going, yeah.
Yeah. And it's like he's designed his role to play to those strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And that's honestly a brilliant strategy.
It is. It's crucial for anyone, whether you're leading a company or just managing your own career.
Mm-hmm.
Identify what you excel at and what just drains you.
Right.
And then find ways to delegate or outsource those like energy-sucking tasks so you can really focus on your zone of genius,
Work smarter, not harder. Right.
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah. And this ties directly into how Dana creates this unique company culture at the UFC.
Yeah.
He's really big on fostering this like family atmosphere.
Yeah.
And he goes to some pretty extreme lengths to do it.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it. Like those legendary parties
The parties.
he throws for his employees and their families.
Yeah.
I mean, I've heard stories about these events. They're just over the top,
Yeah, yeah.
inclusive, and they're designed to make everyone feel like they're a part of something special.
He's sending a clear message. We're all in this together. We celebrate together.
Totally.
And it's not just about the parties.
Right.
It's about creating this environment where people feel valued, appreciated,
Yeah.
motivated to give their best.
It challenges that like traditional corporate culture model, which can often feel so impersonal and transactional.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder like what would happen if more companies took this approach.
Yeah.
Could it lead to, higher morale, better retention, and just greater success overall?
It's definitely something worth exploring.
For sure.
But there's another piece to this puzzle, and it might surprise you.
Okay.
Even with all this talk about loyalty, teamwork,
Yeah.
Dana has this relentless drive,
Mm.
this hunger for more
Yeah.
that almost seems at odds with the whole family thing.
That's a great point, and that's something that really jumped out at me too.
Yeah.
He admits that he never feels truly proud of himself.
Yeah.
He's always looking ahead to the next challenge, the next goal.
It's like they're both wired for constant motion,
Totally. Yeah.
always pushing forward.
He says that he wants to keep working as hard as he can
Yeah.
until he physically can't anymore.
Right. And it makes you wonder,
Yeah.
where does that drive even come from?
Right.
And is it something you can like cultivate,
Mhm.
or are some people just born with that
Right.
insatiable ambition?
It's a great question.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah.
And more importantly, is it even sustainable?
Yeah. Is that a way to like live and work?
Yeah, in the long run.
Yeah.
It's fascinating.
It's really interesting. So lots to unpack there.
Definitely.
We're going to take a quick break,
That sounds good.
and then we'll dive back into this.
Can't wait.
All right. See you in a sec.
Okay. Like he's got this internal engine that just never stops,
Yeah.
always pushing him to do more, to take on bigger and bigger challenges.
And it really makes you think, is that a key ingredient to his success?
A good question, right?
Like, do you need to have that to reach that level in business or like any field, really?
Yeah, that's worth exploring.
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, that kind of constant push can lead to amazing things
Right.
like innovation, growth.
You're never satisfied with where you are.
Exactly, always striving for better.
Yeah.
But then again, it can also be, a double-edged sword.
Because how can you ever enjoy what you've done?
Right.
If you're never satisfied,
Totally.
are you just going to burn out?
Yeah, you risk sacrificing your own well-being,
Right.
just chasing this never-ending climb.
Yeah. And it makes me think about something that Theo brings up
Oh, yeah.
in the interview.
Okay.
He asks Dana about learning to be a boss
Mm-hmm.
and about the challenges of like delegating and trusting other people to kind of execute his vision.
Which is something that a lot of leaders struggle with, right?
Oh, yeah. Even those who aren't as intense as Dana.
Exactly.
Letting go of control, trusting your team to handle things their way.
Right? It's not easy.
It's hard.
And Dana's answer is actually really insightful.
Okay.
He talks about how he had his own businesses before the UFC,
Mm-hmm.
but the scale was completely different. Like
Yeah.
he went from dealing with, hundreds of thousands of dollars
Yeah.
to hundreds of millions.
That's a huge jump.
It is. It's a massive leap in responsibility and pressure.
No wonder he had to adapt.
Right, exactly. And he
Right.
talks about how he had to learn to delegate,
Yeah.
especially when it came to the financial side of things.
Yeah.
He's actually really blunt about it. He's like,
Yeah.
finance is not my expletive thing.
Right. We have a very strong finance team.
He recognized his limitation.
Totally.
Right. Instead of trying to micromanage something he didn't get,
Yeah.
he built a team of specialists
Yep.
and trusted them to do their jobs.
It's a powerful lesson.
Big time.
It speaks to the importance of self-awareness.
Knowing what you're good at and what you're not good at.
Exactly. Knowing your strengths and weaknesses as a leader.
Yeah.
But even more importantly, it shows the value of building a team of
Yeah.
people who complement your skill set.
It's like building a well-oiled machine, right?
Exactly.
Each part has a specific function.
And everyone works together seamlessly.
And he doesn't just delegate tasks.
Right.
He empowers his team.
Yeah, he creates an environment where people feel comfortable
Right.
taking ownership, sharing their ideas,
Mhm.
and really contributing at a high level.
And you can see how that ties back to his family philosophy.
Totally.
He wants everyone to feel like they're a vital part of the team,
Mm-hmm.
that their contributions actually matter. That's what makes his leadership style so fascinating.
Yeah.
He's got this intense drive, this ambition,
Yeah.
but he also gets the power of building a strong team.
He knows he can't do it all himself,
Right.
and he really values the people around him.
Yeah, he really does.
But there's still this tension, right,
There is.
between that drive and
Mhm.
creating a sustainable work environment.
How do you balance those two things?
Yeah, like how do you push for growth
Mhm.
and innovation, but also make sure your team isn't burning out?
That's the question, isn't it?
It's a question a lot of leaders struggle with.
Yeah.
And it makes me think about something else Dana says in the interview.
Okay.
He talks about how he's always focused on what's next,
Hmm.
on the next challenge, the next goal.
Always looking ahead.
Yeah. And he admits that he struggles to savor his accomplishments,
Yeah.
to take a moment and appreciate how far he's come.
Which brings up a fascinating question.
Yeah.
Is that constant striving, that inability to be satisfied, is that like a necessary ingredient for massive success?
Yeah. Or is it like
Like-
a trap?
Yeah. Could it lead to unhappiness?
Right.
It's the million-dollar question,
Yeah.
right?
It really is.
And there's no easy answer because
Yeah.
for some people, that drive is what fuels them.
Right.
It's what gets them out of bed.
Right.
They thrive on challenge, on pushing themselves to the limit.
But for others, it can be a source of stress.
Yeah, totally. It can make it hard to appreciate the journey,
Yeah.
to enjoy the wins along the way.
You're so focused on what's next that you forget to look back.
Exactly. And that's a shame because those moments of satisfaction,
Right.
gratitude, those are essential
Yeah, they're so important.
for our well-being. They give
And
us a sense of purpose, of fulfillment.
they remind us why we're doing it.
Exactly.
So how do we find that balance?
Right.
Like, how do you have that drive, that ambition,
Yeah.
but not let it consume you?
It's a question we all have to deal with, I think, especially in today's world. Everything's so fast-paced.
Right. Achievement oriented.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it starts with awareness,
Mm.
recognizing that this drive, while it's powerful,
Yeah,
it can also be a trap
totally.
if we're not careful.
So maybe it's about like setting these checkpoints for yourself where you
Right.
actually stop
Yeah.
and you reflect,
You take a moment.
appreciate what you've actually accomplished.
Yeah, you build in those mini celebrations
Oh,
along
yeah.
the way.
It's about acknowledging the wins.
Yeah, the big ones and the small ones. Let yourself feel that sense of accomplishment.
And recognizing that the journey matters.
The journey itself has value.
It's not just the end goal.
Right. It's not just about the destination.
Right.
It's about how you get there.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the biggest takeaways from this whole deep dive into Dana's world.
Totally.
He's built this incredible business, but that drive,
Yeah.
his inability to just enjoy what he's done,
Right.
it makes you think about success,
It really does.
what it means to live a fulfilling life.
It's a good reminder that there's no one right way to do things.
Right.
What works for Dana might not work for everyone else.
And that's okay.
Absolutely.
The important thing is to find what works for you.
Yeah. What lets you thrive, both personally and professionally?
I think that's a great place to leave it.
I agree.
Thanks for diving in with us today.
Always a pleasure.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing yourselves to be your best.
Couldn't have said it better myself.